Okay, I wanted to do another video on trying to help with the finals for our final project. And the reason I wanted to do this was just to try to make, again, a- something that I figure might be something might be popular to use, and that it's something that will be real simple to help people that might be struggling with trying to get their project to work. So basically, I'm just going to add four buttons that will toggle between four different SWFs that we've already created. So let's go ahead and start our file, and I believe the final project is 1024, and the height should be 760. Let's do create, and let's save our file. And let's see, let me see, I'm trying to remember which one I used here, and final help. All right, I guess we'll do final help 1. And let's call this master, because that's what our main page should be called. So master FLA. Okay. Now let's make sure I got that in the right folder. And it's not, so I think it's this one. Okay, that looks right. And so what we have here is some SWFs that have already been created. Here's an about page, a contact page, a slideshow, and a sound player. Now, depending on how you're doing your project, I kind of have this sort of set up as something that we would create, some buttons up here, and then maybe have an entire page show up. So this would be a good way to do that. Excuse me. So let's see. The first thing we want to do is we want to create a button, and I'm just going to try to do this really quick. Hopefully, you guys can go through more time and spend more time with this. But we're just going to do just a little outline just to try to get everything working, and that might be a good way to work also. If you're just getting started on your project, just kind of go ahead and get this working, and then you can kind of go back in and do your graphics the way you want more so. Excuse me. Okay, so here's my first button. I'm going to select all, and then I'm going to do right click, or I think you can do insert a new symbol. But here I'm going to do right click and convert to symbol. Make sure you got it's called a button, or it is a button, and we're just going to call this one button. And then hit OK. And that should be in our library. Okay, and now we want to have 4 instances of the button. So we have our first one, and let's do a second, a third, and a fourth. And let's use our alignment tool. We'll go ahead and get those. Oh, no, we don't want that on the stage. Excuse me. And let's do space evenly horizontally. Okay. And let's name our buttons in the instances. So this will have to be the same in our code. So I'm just going to call it BTN1. It stands for button 1. Now, when you're doing this for your own project, you might want to call it something more specific, like BTN underscore sound file, or basically what it is. So you kind of know what each thing is, and that will be helpful. But right now, I'm just trying to do this real simple, just to show you. And we'll do the next one, BTN2, BTN3, and BTN4. Okay, so now I've got my buttons, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm looking over here in my instances, make sure everything's named. Okay. Now, one thing I forgot to mention in my previous videos is basically these are the ones that I want to toggle between. Now, I might have some other SWFs and some other files, but these are the SWFs that I want to toggle between. So I'm going to call this is one I'm going to rename because they have to be the exact same name as my button and in the code, so they all have to be the same. So I'm going to call this one BTN1, and this is going to be the one that I'm going to have show up first. And I'll try to remember to show that here when I get back. I'm going to go ahead and copy, and we'll go to our next SWF, and we'll call the contact, we'll call that button 2, and we'll call the slideshow BTN3, and we'll do the sound player BTN4. Okay, now we want to go into our ActionScript, and you can find the ActionScript. I put it in probably a couple of weeks folders. I think in week 15 and week 16. So week 16, the most recent one. So it should be right in here. ActionScript Code Final Project for Final Project. If you want to use that. Okay, and I got it right here. Let's go ahead and any of these will work. This one already has an SWF on there, so I'm just going to go ahead and we'll copy and paste that into my project. Okay, go into my ActionScript. Make sure you are in your ActionScript layer, which I should always have done. Oh, you know what? I forgot to name layers. I'm trying to go so fast. I'm going to call this one buttons. Excuse me. I'm going to do another one. We'll call that one ActionScript. I'm just going to do AS for short. Make sure you're selected on the ActionScript first frame if you have more than one. And I'm going to paste that in here. And this is going to be the loader to allow, I'm just going to write SWFs to appear. And I'm going to call this, just to show you how you can name it if you want, we'll call this one SWF Viewer. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that. And we're going to copy and paste it on this one, and this one, and this one, and in the add child right there. Now I need the most important is to get this to show up. And I remember what I already named them, and this is one of these. And whichever one you want to show up on your stage first, you pick it out. So I'll go with the BTN1. So I'm going to call this one BTN1. Okay, now let's do a test. Control or test. And there it showed up. Okay, but I want to move it. So let's go back into our code. And let's try maybe 253. Oh, what happened there? By 135. Okay, and then we'll try another test. And there it's a little bit more centered. That's about where I want it. And like I said, if you're just creating your project and you don't have it planned out, you might want to do it, the entirety of your screen, if that's how you want to do this. Either that, or you're going to have to do some good planning, and you might have to do different types of code. So this is just a simple way to do it. Okay. Okay, so now let's add the code to our button. And try to get our buttons to work. Okay, so I'm only going to add maybe one first. Actually, let's go ahead and do two so we can try to toggle between two of them. So I got two buttons right here. And then I'm going to go down here to the bottom of this SWF loader. So So I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this into my actions. Okay. Now I know these buttons are named wrong right now, and I know this is going to be named wrong. I'll go ahead and call this one. I know my buttons are BTN1 and BTN2. And if you forgot where that was, that's because I named it here, BTN1, BTN2, and that's going to be my code. So BTN1, BTN2, and this will not work because this is named wrong. So let me go ahead and do a test. I'll show you. We'll do a control test, and you see nothing shows up. Close out, and you'll see frame 1, line 13, access undefined property of a SWF loader. So let's go to line 13, and we'll look. You'll see at 13, it's the SWF loader, and that's because we called it up here our variable, which is what this is, SWF viewer. So I'm going to just copy and paste, or just type that in here. Okay, now let's try it again. Let's do a test. So here's our one button and our second button, which it looks like it works. Hopefully you have that much luck. Okay, so, and like I said, let me repeat that again. Our BTN1 has to be named in our instances. It has to be the same in our code, so BTN1, and it also has to be the same as our SWF file. Okay. Now you can have a flash file that created it, but this has to be named exactly the same that's in our code and our button in order to get this to work. Okay, let's go ahead and try adding see if we can get our next two to work. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. And I'm going to paste that line. So that's going to be our third button, and then our fourth button. So let's call this 3. Whoop. This one 4. So we got button 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we got them right here already. Button 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we also have it in our folder. And this needs to be in the same folder as our master FLA. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we got them all, and they all have to be named exactly the same. Okay. Now let's do a test. Control test. So there's button 1, there's button 2, button 3, and button 4. And everything works. Okay? So that's a simple way to hopefully try to get your buttons to toggle between some different your SWFs that you've created. Okay, and I think that's it for this lesson.